Hey, I'm Brent Erhler. Just got done with the Bass Elite event here on Sam Rayburn. Post-spawn, really an interesting tournament. The fish were doing so many different things. Lots of cover-up shallow. Fish were out deep as well. When I say cover-up shallow, we had hydrilla, hay grass, all kinds of stuff. The fish were running shallow. I caught all mine, up there. Now I'm saying shallow. 5 to 8 feet were the outside edges of grass lines. That's how I caught them. That's a great place to start looking post-spawn. Outside grass lines. Those fish are starting to move, trying to get out. They're not all the way deep. They're on their way out there. They're on that just a little bit outside from the back. So I was running secondary points. I was running drains, looking for that hydrilla where it went out and stopped. Now I did a couple things. I was running my hydrowave to ignite those fish. I think those fish are feeding on bluegill, shad, and gizzard shad. And so I'd use that hydrowave to try and ignite those fish, and it definitely worked. I definitely found that it fired them up a couple times. So I ran it pretty loud because I was covering a lot of water. So if I was sitting on a spot, sometimes I'd pause it and turn it back on if I was making an exact cast of one thing. That way the fish would, they wouldn't get too accustomed to it, and then ignite it again, and it seemed like I could get a bite. If I pause it, make about 5-6 casts, start it up again, then I'd catch one. So using the hydrowave to do that. Running a couple different baits. The key ones for me, a vibrating jig. This is a jackhammer. Threw it on my rod. This is a Tatula Elite Series rod. It's a 7.4 medium heavy bladed jig and cranking rod. It's a glass rod. If you're not throwing this rod with a bladed jig, you're throwing the wrong rod. I promise you that. This is one I've designed. I've worked on it for years, and I've really been blessed to have this rod. I was using a Steez A 6:3-to-1 gear ratio. And that's why I caught some fish on, and then I also caught them on a Lucky Craft jerkbait. This happens to be the Slender Pointer 127. Now this is a jerkbait that they've had out for a long time, but hasn't had much attention. It's a pretty good sized jerkbait. This right here was actually brand new at the start of practice or start of the tournament. I started throwing that on day 2, and my big fish came on the Slender 127. And this setup I was throwing on a dial with Kronos, medium light action. I was running 14-pound test, trying to keep it up above the grass as much as I could. Tatula SV. It's so good for throwing small baits. It's good for throwing big baits as well. Very versatile. Threw that on 14-pound, that setup. I caught everything I weighed in on these 2 rods. So really fun week. Happy to end up where I'm at. Wasn't perfect. I won big bass. I caught a 9-pounder on the Slender 127. Almost won. It was almost a perfect tournament, but man, I'll take second with a truck like that. Really a lot of fun.